Hello, you are listening to Disney Travel Tales. This is episode number 6. This is a space where you can escape the real world and immerse yourself in someone's recent Disney trip. I'm Jenny, and today you are listening to my interview with Becky and her daughter Emma. They are talking about their May mother-daughter Disney vacation. Becky is the owner of Trolley Lane Travel, so this show is not only their travel story, but also filled with tons of great advice. Did you know that there is a way to make planning your Disney vacation easier and less stressful? So many people feel overwhelmed planning their Disney vacation, and they have no idea there are trained professionals out there to help. Our sponsor, Trolley Lane Travel, they're experts when it comes to Disney vacations. They are always up to date on specials Disney runs and have tips and tricks to help you navigate the parks easier. And guess what? This is all complimentary to you when you plan your trip with them. Saving you time and money is what they are best at. Visit them at trolleylanetravel.com to get connected with an agent and start planning your magical vacation today. They are also on Facebook and Instagram at Trolley Lane Travel LLC. Tell them Disney Travel Tales sent you. Okay, so let's begin our adventure with Becky and Emma. Imagine yourself riding the Skyliner with your favorite Joffrey's coffee, and let's go. Okay, hi Becky and Emma. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
It's my first duo to interview. I'm super excited.
Hopefully I don't overtalk poor Emma. You know, with me and Disney, I can do that. So I'll try not to interrupt you too much.
She'll just have to cut in. Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with Disney vacations?
Okay, so I'm Becky, and people are probably, or hopefully not sick of hearing my name because I am the owner of Trolley Lane Travel, and you do kindly mention us each week on your podcast. And this is my oldest daughter, Emma. We have 3 daughters. Emma is 17 and about to start her senior year of high school and then leave me and go off to college. She loves to remind me of that, so she's teasing me. Our experience with Disney, I know I have been going since I was 8 years old, and you asked me like, oh, how many times have you been to Disney? And honestly, I probably couldn't even count. I know for sure I've been back 6 times just since Disney reopened after COVID and everything. But yeah, I've been countless, at least 30 times. And Emma, how many times have you been now?
This is the third time I can remember.
Her first trip to Disney was when she was 2 to Walt Disney World. She's been to Disneyland a couple of times when we lived in California. And then we went when you were 7. And then I think it was 12. She's been 3 more times since. So this is probably her 5th trip to Disney World, I would think. So
that's awesome. So you're going to have a lot of expert advice.
Yeah. And she got me on this one. The reason for this trip, and a lot of people might ask, like, well, you have other kids and family. Why weren't they there? I've had the lovely blessing of a wonderful husband who has let me do trips with my girls, just each of us, like mom and me trips. And Emma played the whole, well, this is my last year before, next summer I'm going to be getting ready to go to college and, maybe we should do a trip. And so she tugged on the heartstrings. And so we decided to do this trip.
That's very smart, I have to say. Yeah, I love that idea. When you had told me that that's what y'all did, I kind of poked the idea at my husband and I was like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if I did like a mother and kid trip every year? And he was like, wait, what? But I'm still going to keep prodding on that one.
Hey, it works great, especially, like for us, we're a family of 5 and, once you're a family of 5, it sometimes can make things difficult or more expensive for hotel rooms and travel. And so this was a way to make it so I was able to get down there as often as I needed to and have that quality time with my kids. And even I I even teased. I even let Mark come with just him and I a couple of times.
Oh yeah, you're not
So,
leaving him out.
right? No, he's still got his Disney trips in too.
That's awesome. I think that's so fun. I can't wait to hear about it. Okay, so what days did y'all travel and how did you get there?
So we left on Friday, May 21st, and we came back on Thursday, May 27th. It was literally the last day of school that we left. Emma bunked school.
Nice.
My teacher wasn't going to let us show up anyway, so.
Yeah, her teacher, I think it was your culinary teacher, right?
No, it was my AP U.S. history teacher, and we already took the exam for it. So, therefore, there was no reason for us to show up on the exam day.
Right. So we just said, forget it. We'll just go to the airport. We flew Spirit, which I normally don't suggest to my clients, but I decided we would test it out and try it out because it had been a little while since I traveled with them. I would still probably suggest Southwest over Spirit Airlines. But it worked for us. It was best for the budget at the time, and their flight times were actually better than what Southwest's flight times were at the time. So we went with that. We flew out of Nashville, so that's BNA, and we flew right into Orlando. So that way we could take advantage of Magical Express and all that and get to the resort with no hassle.
So, how was the Magical Express ride?
We lucked out. I don't know if it was the time of day or whatnot, but we arrived. Our flight got in at 3:30. And so by the time, we got off the plane and used the restroom, went down and got our luggage, we were headed towards Magical Express, and we checked in we have it written down. We checked in at 4:27. They did have the sign up saying that it was a possible 45-minute wait for it. They directed us to our row for our resort, which was row 11. There was one couple walking in the row ahead of us. They got right on a bus, and then we got up to the cast member, signed in with her, and she put us right on a bus. We did have a little bit of a hiccup. I was all excited because they put us in row 1, which meant, right in the front and great view of the Welcome to Disney sign as we were coming in. But the bus driver, who, for those of you that don't know, Magical Express, they're contracted with Mears, so they're not actually Disney cast members. They're contracted people through Disney.
And he wasn't told that there was a new change, that our 2 people would be sitting in the front row next to him.
Yes. So Disney had changed the policy for seating on the bus, and so they sat us in the front, and he did not like how close we were to him. Now, we weren't right behind him. We were in the row next to him. And so he started kind of not yelling at me, but, telling me, no, you can't sit there. You need to sit somewhere else. And it was like, well, the cast member inside, this is where she told me to sit. And then another lady was trying to call him off the bus and yelling at him, no, she's right. That's where she's supposed to sit. But he was like, no, I'm not comfortable with it. And I'm like, it's okay. I'll move to another row. Like it was fine. So there was a little back and forth there, but otherwise, yeah, we were on the bus by 4:30, and we even noted we were pulling out by 4:32. We only had one other stop before us, which was Art of Animation. And then he dropped us off at Pop Century, and we got there right about 5:00. So really it was, we checked in for Magical Express at 4:27 and we're at the resort by 5. So
yeah, that's really good.
Yeah,
for sure. Minus the scuffle. That's kind of frustrating, especially at the beginning of your trip.
Right. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, like this is interesting. And of course I was like, man, I really wanted to get that video coming in and coming under the sign. I still did get one, but
that's good.
But I was sitting behind Emma instead of next to Emma. So that was a little bit of a bummer. But yeah. Oh, and while I was on the bus, or right before I got on the bus, I can't remember when I did it, I placed an order with Publix to deliver groceries to our room. So you know what? Actually, I did it before we got on the plane in Nashville, because what ended up happening was I got mixed up with the hour time difference. And so I selected it to be delivered between 5 and 6 p.m. and it was delivered between 4 and 5 p.m. So it actually got there before we did. But it was great because they just delivered it right to luggage services at Pop Century for us. So it was waiting for us when we got there.
We ended up lugging the water bottles up to the room, though, was a hassle.
Yes, I did not think to get a luggage cart, and so we both each had our suitcase and a case of water, a small case of Dr. Pepper, and some snacks. So that was a little bit of, a hassle. So if you do get groceries delivered, make sure you get a luggage cart. So that way you don't have any issues like we did getting our stuff to the room.
Yeah, that makes it easier. Yeah, I remember when we went on our trip, you had mentioned to me to get some groceries delivered. And that's such good advice because that was like so nice to have our own water, first of all.
Right.
Yeah, because the water's so expensive.
It saves a lot. The water is for a bottle of even just the plain, what is it, Dasani water, it's $3 a bottle. And that can add up.
Oh, yeah.
So we just put 2 to 3 bottles of water in our backpack each morning. And then we would either do refills in the park and just so, anyone listening knows, like you can get free water at any of the quick service locations. Our favorite, though, is to go to the Starbucks location because then you get the filtered water and it comes in a Starbucks cup. Any place will give you free just cups of water because they want you to stay hydrated. So
for sure.
But and we had to have Dr. Pepper delivered because there's no Dr. Pepper on property.
Oh, yeah.
Occasionally you can find Mr. Pibb, but
my son loves Dr. Pepper. And when we were there, he was like, nobody has Dr. Pepper. Yeah. And being from Texas, like that's everywhere.
Exactly. Here too, in Nashville and in the South, it's just like, I have to warn all my guests, like, if you guys like Dr. Pepper, you have to make sure you get some delivered to your room because it is hard to find.
Okay, so y'all stayed at Pop Century. Why did you pick that resort? Like, do y'all like that resort in particular? Or?
We do like this resort. I definitely did because trying to keep it a little budget friendly because we do have a large trip at the end of the summer with the whole family that we're doing. So I was trying to keep it as budget friendly as possible. However, I also still wanted to be at a Skyliner resort because the Skyliner is one of my favorite things. And I honestly love the new renovations that they've done to Pop Century in the rooms. Like there's tons of storage for everything. There's tons of charging stations, for all your gadgets and everything. And it's just comfortable and the kids like it there too. And they normally like the pools, but we'll talk about the pool later. It was nothing bad, but it just didn't work out this trip.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's why we went with Pop at the time. So
is this a budget-friendly resort that you recommend to people?
Absolutely. So there's the several categories of resorts at Disney. There's the value, moderate, deluxe, and then like the deluxe villas. And for the value resorts, Pop Century or Art of Animation is my favorite just because they're a little bit nicer. They've got the Skyliner there. The other value resorts, they're nice, but they're oftentimes used for large group events, sporting events, football teams, cheerleaders, things like that. So you just never know if you're going to run into a band of cheerleaders practicing their cheers or, kids running around. So we like Pop Century just a little bit better.
That's awesome. And it's so cute. We stayed at Art of Animation, but we could see Pop across the way and it looks so fun.
Yeah, it was really, it is really fun. It's really neat, especially for the kids to explore and they see like a giant foosball court and giant Mickey phone and the bowling pins and old cell phones. Like the kids are like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what cell phones used to look like.
That's so fun.
Emma really liked, we walked on the walking trail. It was really nice. Our room overlooked Hourglass Lake and looked over at Art of Animation, and it had the walking path right there. The walking path actually goes around both Pop Century and Art of Animation. I saw some people out there running. We were like, what are you doing running?
Yeah.
Like, aren't you walking enough miles at Disney? But she really liked reading all along the way. There's markers with like historical things. In 1977, this happened. In 1978, that happened, going through all the different centuries. And so she liked reading me those little tidbits of information as we would walk
That's
around.
really cool. That's good to know for someone that might not know that if they stay there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did y'all do after y'all got unpacked in your room?
We went to Magic Kingdom.
Yes, we went and hopped on the bus. A bus was waiting for us. Like as we were walking,
that's
we're like,
awesome.
"Oh my gosh, the bus is there! Let's hurry up and get there." So we were headed to Magic Kingdom by about 5:50. And then when we got there, everything was pretty much a breeze, except for I got flagged at security, so I had to get metal detector, which we didn't know what it was for. We think we figured it out later, and we'll get to that, but I got flagged at security, so we went through, but everything was fine, and we got there, and we looked at the app, and we saw Big Thunder Mountain was posted at only about a 30-minute wait time, and so Emma decided that's what we were going to do first, right? Yep, she was very excited for that, so we headed back there, and like I said, the queue said it was about 30 minutes wait. We entered it at 6:23, and I took note that the 6-foot markers, like the distance markers, were still in place at the time. I believe actually they've been removed since then, but at the time they were still in place. A lot of people were abiding by it. Some
smaller groups were abiding by it. Larger groups didn't really care anymore.
Yeah.
But, like, people who were like in 2s or 3s, or like parents who have children, usually follow the markers pretty well.
Right. But like some groups weren't really paying attention to it, and I didn't mind so much. It was just I was taking note of it for others, who might be interested in that. And then yes, like when we entered the park and everything, we didn't have to have our masks on, but as soon as we got into the queue, we had to have our masks on. But so we got in line at 6:23, and we boarded the train at 6:33. So it was only a 10-minute wait.
That's
which
so short.
Was fantastic, right? And so we rode it, and I even took note. We rode in row 5, which was pretty much the middle of the train. But I decided Emma needed to experience it at the back of the train. So we got back in the line at 6:40. The posted wait time was still 30 minutes. And I asked to wait for the back row. We waited to ask for the back row, and we were on it by 6:45 and off by 6:50. So like in the half an hour original posted wait time, we actually rode it twice.
That's so funny. Emma, what did you prefer, the middle or the back?
I definitely prefer the back. It's a lot more intense because, like, on the front, you wait for everything, and then in the back, there's very little pausing, I feel like.
Right. It just whips you around. She also got a little bit of air a couple of times because, on Big Thunder Mountain, it just has the lap bar that comes down, and if Mom's belly hits the lap bar a little sooner than her belly does, so she got a little bit more space underneath that lap bar, so she
made it a little more thrilling.
Yeah, exactly. So after Big Thunder, we saw that Peter Pan was a posted wait time of 15 minutes. That is one of our family's favorites because it was the very first ride we ever did as our whole family of 5. And even we made it so on our last trip, it was the last ride that we did. So we try to make it either be our first ride or our last ride of the trip. This one, we got in line at 7:01. And it's funny because I remember listening to your podcast and you were like, yeah, and then like we were just waiting there and nothing happened. And similar thing happened with us. So I don't know if it was stalled because they were sanitizing or if they were trying to load, ECV or handicapped or anything. But we were off of it by 7:30. I didn't take note of what time we got on it, but I mean the ride's only like 2 minutes long, so it was more of a half an hour wait than 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I wonder. I know they say some of the rides they have to stop and clean them, so it just makes you wonder.
Right. Right. And you just never know if something happens
Right.
while they're on there and the ride has to go down for a little bit. But we enjoyed it. We loved that ride. And I was trying to be good because oftentimes I'll like go live for our business page or something and like, hey, come ride Peter Pan with us. But I was trying to be good and just experience it with Emma. And I thought I did good this trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
That's so nice.
You're doing it, so you can I didn't notice.
Right.
Well, there you go.
Right. After that, we decided to walk through a couple of shops. Emma loves looking for pins. She loves. We didn't bring pins to trade this time because we knew it's a little more difficult right now for trading. But we did. I think we looked at every pin kiosk thing at every store through all the parks the whole time we were there. So it was fun trying to find a bunch of different pins. And then we headed over to Tomorrowland because I had to get on the People Mover. I was dying to ride People Mover. I love that ride. Posted wait time for that was 15 minutes, but we only waited 4 minutes. Like we got really in the queue at 7:50 and rode at 7:54. So that was fun. Except you were riding backwards.
I was. I don't recommend riding backwards simply because at the part of the ride where it goes pitch black, if you're running forward, you can see like the light ending in the tunnel. When you're running backwards, you're just completely blind in that section. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it if you have the choice.
Yeah.
That's really good advice.
I could see her getting a little, if that bothers you. Like,
yeah.
She got a little nervous about it. So later on in the trip when we rode it again, I was like, do you want to ride facing forward this time? And she's like, yes, please. Thank you. But I love that ride honestly, to get up off my feet and everything. But we also got to peek at the Tron cycle construction that was going on. So yeah, that was really cool. Like it's coming along nicely. I can't wait to ride that one. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's a really cool construction area.
Yeah. And then after People Mover, Buzz Lightyear, which is right next door, was only posted wait time was 10 minutes. So it was a literal walk on. Like we got in the queue at 8:06 and we were on by 8:07. Like we just had to walk right through it. And Emma tried to kick my butt shooting all the aliens. And she was close. She got 407,000 and I got 480,000. But I also had the turning power. So I got to mess with her and turn it a little bit and make it a little more difficult for her to shoot things. But that was fun. That was probably one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Of that day.
Okay. So what time did the park close? Because I guess I didn't, like you said, you got on that at 8, so the park must have closed later.
Yeah, the park tonight was closing at 9.
Okay.
So we had a good bit of time. They extended the hours a little bit more now that it's summertime. So that was really nice. Even after Buzz, like we walked through the Star Traders shop, which has such cute stuff. I love that store. And then we just slowly made our way over to be our guest for dinner. So we had a late, like I think it was like 8:45 was our reservation time because our hopes were to, get out of dinner as late as possible and have a slightly empty park to walk through at the end. So that was nice. But our reservation was 8:40 as I look over our notes.
Okay.
We did the online check-in at 8:30 because anytime you have a table service reservation, you can online check in 15 minutes early for it, which is great. And we were seated by 8:40. We were in the mural room, which of course I was hoping to either be in the ballroom or the other wing, because I know because you guys were sat in the other wing, were you not?
We were in the one with the Belle and Beast statue in the middle.
Oh yeah, so we were in the same
room. Yeah.
That was the same room. We've eaten in all 3 rooms. Of course the favorite is the center room, which is the ballroom, and you love to sit there, but we didn't get that time, but it was nice because we got to look at all the murals and all the tapestries and everything and trying to find hidden Mickeys and everything. But actually at that point I was just happy to be sitting down. We were so happy to be eating because we hadn't really eaten much since, our snacks on the plane. I don't even think we really snacked once we got to Magic Kingdom either. At least if we did, I did not take note of it.
Yeah, that's a long day for your travel day.
Right. It really was. And then Emma, what did you get?
I got the lobster bisque for my entree, and then for my main dish, no, lobster bisque for my appetizer, no, nice. And then for my entree, I got the steak, the filet, the steak. And then dessert is just the dessert platter with the truffle, the gray stuff, and then the macaron.
Yes. And I have in the notes that Emma loved the garlic puree that came with the steak. Like, it had these little dollops of garlic puree, and I'm pretty sure you ate that with every single bite of your steak. She absolutely loved it. I got the French onion soup, which it was really good. It's a little salty, but I still really enjoyed it. I also got the steak and promptly removed the green beans from my plate onto Emma's in case she wanted to eat them. But the steak was delicious. Mashed potatoes were good too. And I also enjoyed a delicious glass of Moscato with it. It was very tasty. And then, yes, we each got our own little individual trio of dessert. So it was like a dark chocolate truffle, and then it had the white chocolate chip cup with the gray stuff, and then the raspberry and lemon macaron. Yeah. And our favorite was definitely the macaron, or macaron, however you pronounce it. The truffle was too dark chocolate for us. We decided that Dad would definitely love that, but it was just not for us. The gray stuff, it is good. It's basically frosting,
Yeah.
To me, at least that's what it tastes like. And it was funny because Emma ate all of hers and then started to eat her chip cup. And I was like, oh, Emma, if you like it, like, here, you can have mine. And she's like, no, I just had to get rid of the gray stuff to get to my chip cup. So you can keep it on yours. But yeah, it was really good. It is definitely a more pricey meal. I know that I would never take my younger two to this restaurant just because there's nothing on that menu that they would want to eat. So like for the two of us, and I did get the Moscato, which was additional, but for the two of us with tip, it was $174. So it's definitely more of a, celebratory meal, or, if you're looking for a fancier meal.
Yeah, and if you have good eaters.
And if you have good eaters, that's why I took Emma, because Emma, she loves good food, steak, seafood. She loves it. I'm not wasting any money on her. I just didn't want to pay $60 for my 14-year-old to have cheese pizza. So
right. And that is a delicious steak. It's one of the best steaks we've ever had.
So good. By the time we finished dinner, it was 9:40, and we slowly just made our way out, taking pictures and selfies and pictures and pictures and pictures. She did tease me a bit. Like, I'm like, okay, hold on, I have to get a picture from this angle. And she's like, Mom, stop. That's
what moms do.
Right?
We got to document the moment.
Yes. And then we just window shopped down the left side of Main Street, and promising Emma that we would come back to that glass store on our next Magic Kingdom day, because we couldn't get into the stores at that point because they closed entry to the stores. But so we just window shopped on the way out. So we went down, and Pop Century was bus stop number 26. So if anybody's familiar with the buses at Magic Kingdom, there's like 3 sections of buses, and ours was in the middle section, and it was the first stop. It was the first bus section on the right hand side. We got to the bus line at 9:57, and there were 3 buses already lined up there. Like we were lined up outside of the line. So like the whole queue area was full, socially distanced, but still full. And there were 3 buses there. Those buses all filled up, and then two of the buses pulled away, and then one of the Academy Greyhound buses pulled up, loaded people. We were loaded onto the 4th bus that came up, and that was at 10:04. So we were literally like, it was a huge line of people, but they had multiple buses pulling up for everybody. So we were literally on a bus in less than 10 minutes, which
was
really
amazing.
Really impressive.
Yeah.
And for people wondering about why it's not Disney buses, there are some Disney buses and then some of these Academy they look like Greyhound buses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because Disney is hiring more drivers to come back. And in the meantime, until they get more drivers trained to drive the Disney buses, they're subcontracting out to another company to help with transportation and everything. So that's why, you're seeing some of the non-Disney buses around there. There was a little boy in line one night who was crying and very upset because Mickey was not on his bus that he was about to get. So he was heartbroken. But
that's very smart, because when we were there, the buses were running so slow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which, and it's funny because normally I always get the not so lucky side of things with the buses. It's like we'll show up just as the last bus is pulling away or something like that. But this time we seem to have the bus pixie dust on this trip because
that's awesome.
We didn't run into it that often. So the bus left Magic Kingdom at 10:08, and then we pulled up to Pop Century at 10:24, and we're in our room by 10:30, which I thought that was pretty amazing. From like we literally walked out of Be Our Guest at 9:40, and then we were back in our room by 10:30.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, yeah. And it was a Friday night too, so it's not like it was, middle of the week.
Right. Was the park busy? Did it feel busy that evening?
Not really. At least not in the sections we were in, I don't think.
Yeah, not in the areas we were in. We weren't by any of the huge attractions or any of the non-reservation restaurants at the time. So it might have been busier like down by the shops or in other places.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like the only area that I felt like it felt busy in is that area in between It's a Small World and Peter Pan.
Yeah.
But a lot of that has to do with that area is so narrow, and the queues for both of those rides have to come, because of the physical distancing, they have to come out onto the pathway. So it like makes it even a little bit more narrow. And of course, those tangled bathrooms being like the most popular bathrooms in all of Disney World. So
yes,
people go there just to visit the bathrooms. So, but yeah, we didn't think it was too bad. And I will say it was 1,000% more comfortable not having to wear my mask outside than it was when because I was there last July, August, September, and even in parts of October when it was hot, and it definitely felt better having it off. And when I was there in November, I actually welcomed having the mask on because it kept my face warm during the time that we were there, because it was a little chilly. But it definitely felt good to, get off an attraction and come out and be able to take it off. It was nice. And most everybody too, I think, had theirs off while outside. There were some people. Emma wore hers most of the time.
Because when I take it off and put it back on, I have to readjust my glasses.
Oh yeah.
Each time I take it off and put it on, so I'm just like, it would be a lot less of a hassle if I just wear it the entire time.
Yeah,
that's true.
She just wore it, and she is more used to wearing her mask all the time anyway. Because in school she had to wear it all the time. So
it didn't really. And I have one of the special masks that are extremely breathable.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't much of a problem.
Yeah.
Right. So it was nice, but yeah, so we got back to the hotel and Emma hopped in the shower while I I unpacked all of our stuff, hung up all the clothes, emptied out our park bag and prepped our park bag for the next day because we were planning to get up at, I think it was 6:15 the next morning. And so we just climbed into bed and passed out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about going with just two people too, is because it's easier to be like, this is what we're going to do. And then you can actually do it. When you have a bunch of people, it's like, this is what we're going to do. And then like half of them are like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to sleep.
Right. Exactly. And I did try, since this was her trip, like we were pretty much doing whatever she wanted to do within reason, of course, but we were pretty much doing anything that she wanted to do. And it's one of those things too, if you go every year, every other year, you don't have to do every single thing every time. Like, even for like, like I said, we have an upcoming trip at the end of the summer, and we normally don't travel in the summer because it's so busy. And we've told the kids, like, okay, everybody gets to pick their one must do, which I think is what you guys did. Like, everybody picks their one must do that we have to do. And anything in addition to that is bonus, so we'll just concentrate. So that's kind of what we did. Like, each day we would set out like, okay, what is it that we want to actually hit this day? And everything else was bonus. So it was nice.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off the vacation too. Like the very first time we went, I was like, we have to do everything. And then you can't. And you're like, dang it. It was a failure.
Right. I know. Ours was the same way. Like, we had a 10-day trip, and at the time, the deluxe dining plan. And our kids were little. So like, we had every character breakfast you could imagine booked. And I think by the fourth morning of getting up early, my husband was like, if I have to get up one more time at 6 o'clock in the morning just to go have breakfast with Mickey in a different outfit, I'm going home.
Yeah.
so we had to adjust on that trip, but
it takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, it did. So we've adjusted since then.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about y'all's second day. What did y'all do? What park did you visit?
This was Animal Kingdom day. And what was our main goals for today?
Animal Kingdom was Mount Everest and Flight of Passage. And we were our two main goals.
And the safari.
Yes.
We have a joke amongst our family because the very first family trip we ever did, my husband and I had this plan in place, and it was, at the time, it had paper fast passes. So the plan is that Mark and the kids were slowly going to make their way over to the safari while I booked it over to Everest and grabbed us the fast passes for Everest. And then I would fly back over and meet them in front of the safari, and we'd get on the safari together and go. And so I do all my things, and I get over there, and I'm waiting for them. And I'm like, golly, like, I told them to take their time, like coming up the path and everything, but how many little things are they looking at? And it was taking them forever. And like, I walked down the path, I basically walked back to the front of the park, didn't see them anywhere. And I'm like, what in the world happened? About 45 minutes later, I finally find them coming off of the safari.
Oh my gosh.
My husband had gotten in the queue thinking I'd be able to, like, that I would know that, oh, he got there and he went and got in the queue, so I should just go and try to join him. But
oh no.
So yeah, we joke that this next trip, the very first thing we're doing is riding the safari together as a family, because after Flight of Passage, yes. So yeah, we were going to Animal Kingdom, and our goal was to get there as early as possible to get on Flight of Passage before the lines. We didn't get there early enough. I mean, we did and we didn't.
We got there at road drop, but there were still so many people lined up.
Right. So the park was scheduled to open at 8, and we got in line for the Animal Kingdom bus at 7:06. And I took lots of notes on it because the line had backed up all the way to the handicap line for Hollywood Studios.
Oh, no.
So, like, basically, it was, all the way down at the end is the bus stop for Animal Kingdom, and then the next bus stop is for Epcot, and then Hollywood Studios. So we were that far back. So I was a little bit stressed out. But then 2 of the Academy buses and 3 Disney buses all showed up, and so we were on the 5th bus. So we actually loaded the bus at 7:24. So we only waited about 20
not
minutes.
Too bad.
So it wasn't bad. Exactly. We pulled in at Animal Kingdom at 7:37. And then I got flagged at security again. And you were like, what am I getting flagged for? And I even asked the guy who was thoroughly examining my backpack, I was like, hey, what could it have been that set it off? And he's like, well, it could have been your little battery pack, because I did have my battery pack in my bag the night before. And then this day, I also had a can of the spray sunscreen. And he was like, so that could have set it off. I'm like, okay. And so then he's still looking through my bag, and he's like, ma'am, did anybody else pack anything in your bag today? And I was like, no. He's like, you were the only one to pack your bag? And I was like, yes. Like, I was getting nervous because he's like, straight look at me. He's like, are you sure nobody put anything extra in your bag? And I'm like, what? Like, no. And then he pulls out my pack of extra gum, like it's the brand extra gum from the thing. And oh my God, I was laughing. It was funny, but I was nervous.
You're like, what is he gonna pull out?
My gosh, like I'm trying to think, like, oh my gosh, did my bag get left anywhere? Did somebody put something in my bag?
That's funny.
But yeah, so he was Mr. Funny. So we were scanned into the park by 7:45 and started heading over there. But for people that are listening that go to Disney often, do this often, just because the posted opening time is 8:00 doesn't mean that that's when it actually opens. Like, it opens ahead of time to let people in, and they do start running attractions before 8:00. So as we were walking to get in line for Flight of Passage, there were already people coming off of it. Like, people had already ridden the ride. So by the time we got, what was it? I'm looking at the notes over here. We got into the queue for Flight of Passage at 7:55, and we were all the way back by like Lion King, where the Lion King show is. So I was like, okay, we're in for it. It's going to be a long wait. And the second that the park opened up at 8, you could then see wait times on the app. So we pulled up the wait time, and it said it was 85 minutes for a wait. And I was like, oh no, it's going to be forever. But that I had to remember, like, we only had 3 goals today, which was Flight of Passage, Everest and the Safari. So we're like, okay, we're good. But we actually loaded the ride at 8:40. So we were just under, it was 55 minutes for a wait for it. And honestly, like, it was at 75, 80 minutes for most of the day, I think. Like, we kept checking back to maybe do it, ride it again later, but it just didn't happen because it was a longer wait.
Yeah. And the queue for that area is really fun.
Oh, yeah.
To look at. So.
Yeah. Well, the queue is really fun, but that one area that you wanted to spend the most time in,
we were cut off.
We were cut off and, like, went through, like, the area that has the big floating avatar and everything in there, and all the little science experiments. Like, Emma was so excited to get up to that point and really look at everything. But then we get into that room and they're like, okay, come on.
That always happens.
Right through.
It's like the spot you want to stay and look, they rush you through.
Right, exactly. It was not fun. But one nice discovery that I did find that was different from my last trip is that there are restrooms in the queue now for Flight of Passage, which is fantastic. There was only one, and one that we saw.
There might be more like the areas in the queue that weren't open. Like, I think I might have seen one in the lab area. I'm not sure if that was just like a cast member exit or something,
or just theming.
But I didn't even like in the bathroom other than one in the bathroom.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, when you get into the building of Avatar, there's right before you go into the room with all the science experiments and everything, there are 2 small bathrooms there, which I think is brilliant because sometimes, pre-COVID, the waits for that ride were 3 hours long if you didn't have a fast pass. So it was very smart to.
That's so smart.
Kind of open up those bathrooms in there. But yeah, we were loaded on the ride at 8:40. I did note that there was no distancing on the ride banshees themselves. So like I call them little motorcycles and everything. Like we were seated right next to other people.
Okay.
Again, I didn't mind, but I figured people might want to know that.
I mean, if you have a large enough party.
Right. If you have a large enough party, you're doing that. And then we did have a little bit of a hiccup. Like we sat on the banshees for a little while.
I think there was a wheelchair in the group behind us.
Right.
But we sat on the banshees and we're connecting to our avatar for longer than usual.
Right, exactly. But it was nice because I was off my feet and the fans running, and like you could actually really take note of everything that's down on your little motorcycle thing. Because I didn't even realize like they show your face on there, like it shows your face looking down at it, and it does its imaging stuff, and connecting you to the banshee. So it was really neat. But
so were y'all on it longer before the ride started or after?
Before.
Okay, so it just took longer for the ride to start.
It just took a little bit longer because sometimes it could be, so I say this because I'm a little bit poo-sized. But if you're a little bit on the larger size and when the back comes up on that seat, it doesn't automatically engage. So then the cast member has to kind of come over and get it into place. Okay. And so if there were more people like that, or anybody having issues getting, adjusted into their seat, that can take a little bit longer. Or like Emma said, ECVs or wheelchairs and things like that take. But that was just the first time it ever happened with that. But then we were off and ready to go, and it was a good ride. And we stopped in the store. Yeah. You like that store?
Yeah, it's a fun store to look at.
Yeah, they have these little Sprite keychains, like they look like floating jellyfish. Yeah, kind of. But they were really cute.
Everything's just so pretty over there. All the colors, even in the stores, like it's just so, I don't know, like peaceful.
It really is. And if you're a first-time visitor, I will warn that your kids will go into that store and want to buy one of those banshees that they can control and perch on their shoulder, which is great. And two of my kids have them because they suckered grandma into buying them for her, and they loved it so much that one is now sitting in my office as decoration because they got it home and then never played with it. So just be careful when you're going through that gift shop that maybe the kids don't spy that unless, unless you really want this little banshee in your house.
That's typical of a lot of souvenirs on vacation. They just have to have it, and then they get home and just sits.
They just sit there. Right. So then after that, it was time for some breakfast. We needed a bite to eat. We went to Pongu Pongu, which is this little kiosk right outside of the exit of the gift shop for Flight of Passage. And it's great because it's one of the ones that you don't have to mobile order or anything. You can get right in line. They did have some physical distancing markers for the line, and everybody was obeying it there. It didn't really matter. Emma had, what did you have? Oh, you had the French toast sticks. Yeah. And I had the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. Emma said she did not want another sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit for a very long time because that was what was for breakfast at school every single day this year. So
except for Fridays when we got cinnamon rolls, but otherwise it was just breakfast sandwiches.
Yes, so she was very happy that it was French toast sticks on the menu. And we shared a Coke because I needed my morning caffeine, and that was delicious. And then from there, I was very upset because normally after we leave Avatar, we normally go the back way and go by Lion King and then go over to the safari. But they had that path cut off, so like we could not go that way, which was very frustrating for my park touring plans that I had. So instead, we saw that Dinosaur only had a posted wait time of 15 minutes, and Emma had never been on Dinosaur, so we headed over there. We got in the queue at 9:50, and again, physical distancing markers were still in place. Most everyone was complying, except for the people right behind us. The same in the Flight of Passage line. Like the guy in the Flight of Passage line, he wasn't even minding
Regular
like
distance.
personal bubble distance. Like he kept hitting my backpack. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like
That's so
get out of my bubble.
frustrating.
Right.
Also, when you had us on dinosaur talking about why is it such a long line? It was just an observatory.
Right. The girl in the line really thought, because the whole theming of it is that it's an observatory and you're looking at these fossils, and this girl behind us, she was just like, why is there such a long wait to look at dinosaur bones? Like, I don't think she realized it was an actual, you know, ride.
That's kind of funny.
So, yeah, so that was pretty funny. But, and then it was pretty much right. Like, it was 15 minutes because we got in line at 9:50 and we were on at 10:05. Though the posted wait time had jumped to 20 minutes once we were in line, but it was pretty accurate. And you liked it, right?
Yeah,
you liked it. Did it scare you when the dinosaur jumped out?
No, because it's a dinosaur ride. I kind of expected it.
Right. She was expecting the jump scare. But then the best part of Emma's entire... Oh, did you bring it in here? The best part, Emma's highlight of our entire trip happened when we got into the dump shop after Dinosaur.
Yeah. There was a gadget from Rescue Rangers.
Aww.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it.
Yes. But that's so cute.
Yes. Little gadget. We've never seen her in pin form before anywhere.
Really, I mean, for her.
Right. Like, you know, I'm sure when we were kids and Rescue Rangers was a big deal, there might have been some gadget stuff in the parks, but
I'm sure.
Emma loves that cartoon, and so she, like, I think you even squealed. You were just like,
I was very excited.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it was at Chester and Hester's dinosaur shop.
And we saw in other, and you can find it like the really big pin stores, but and in Animal Kingdom, but like we didn't see it at any other park.
Right. When we did see it, it was definitely towards the bottom. If you're looking for it, it was definitely towards the bottom, kind of tucked away section of it. It was exciting. She was happy.
It's so fun to find those like souvenirs that you want, or you've been waiting for, or you didn't expect that you wanted. That's so fun.
Yeah, it was really cute. Then after that excitement, we decided to go sit down and rest our feet and watch It's Tough to Be a Bug. And that's really cute. Like, it was basically the posted wait time was 10 minutes, and it was 10 minutes. Like, it was just waiting for the next show. But it was nice because we got to walk through the queue a little bit and see all the animal carvings and everything in it. And Emma was finding some neat carvings, and it was really cute because there were little kids behind us, and they're like, oh, Daddy, monkey! Like, it was just so sweet. I just love that whole tree. Like, it reminds me of the highlight magazines from a kid where you have to try to like find everything in the drawing. So that was fun. But It's Tough to Be a Bug was good. Did it get you? Did it poke you?
No, because I sat up off of the seat.
Right. Yes. There were some screaming little kids. There was one lady who ended up having to leave with their child because it gets dark in there. So for any of you with little kids, like, it gets dark in there. It can be kind of scary, and it's one of those neat kind of 3D interactive shows. So, you know, bees come out to sting, and like you get poked in the back with something or sprayed in the face with some water and things like that. But you forgot about the spiders.
I forgot about the spiders. In the show, there are big animatronic black widows that descend from the ceiling. Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
So she did get a little scared, or surprised.
And they come close to the audience as well.
I think you'd think they come close to the audience.
It looks like they come close.
It does feel like it does.
After that, it was snack time. My family loves pot stickers to the point where my youngest daughter, she understood that Emma and I were going on this trip, just her and I, because she's had her own trips and everything. But then when I told her that there were new pot stickers to try at Magic Kingdom, she was like, what? Like, she was so upset. I was like, I'll get you pot stickers from Costco. Like, don't worry about it. But in Animal Kingdom, there is this snack cart it's actually back by the bird show. It's Mr. Kamal's, and they have seasoned fries and then fried dumplings back there, which is basically a pot sticker. They just call it a dumpling.
Because it's not technically a dumpling because they're not cooking it right.
Right. They're not cooking it the technical way. But it was funny. I thought we would share one. Yeah. But then Emma was like, no. Because if I like these, I'm going to need my whole little thing. Because it's like 3 in a little container, and it comes with this little pot sticker sauce. And it's a nice kind of inexpensive treat. They're like $5. But it was funny because every time we would get something to eat or do something, I would get in the line for it and then tell Emma to go find a spot for us to sit, which she always did. She found a great spot to sit. But this time she's like, oh, yeah, you just go up and, just go up the path and you'll see me on the right-hand side. And I'm like, okay. She didn't say go up the secret path that looks like it's a cast member entrance to somewhere. Like, when she said go up the path, I assumed she meant just the walkway that we were standing on. But no, there was this little tucked away path that she found. I mean, a great spot to sit and enjoy. And we had fans. It had fans and covering and everything. Nice. So it was nice, but she needed to give better directions as to.
I did next time. I did it universal.
Yes, she did. She did get better with her directions. So that was really good and gave us some energy. And next up, we decided to cool off on Kelly River Rapids. It was posted wait time was 20 minutes. We entered the queue at 11:18 and we're on by 11:35. So pretty much 20 minutes. We shoved everything in my backpack, and it was fun because there's this cute little kid on the boat, like worrying about getting soaked and everything. And I was like, yeah, I've been on this a lot. That's the seat that gets soaked. Like, we were teasing him. It was good. Emma's entire back got soaked.
Yeah.
Because she leaned forward to try to get away from it, and it got her back. And then my whole back and left side of my shorts got soaked. So that was fun for a little while, but it dried.
Was it was it hot at the parks?
It was definitely hot, but it wasn't that humid, which was really surprising. Like, I was ready for it to be really humid and sticky, but I don't think we ever really got overheated that much. Also, it just helped, like I said, because we were doing it a little more slower paced and, stopping and having snacks and sitting and relaxing. And, I know all the shady spots, so it wasn't too bad. Like, I didn't break out my neck fan yet, to tell you that much, at least at Animal Kingdom, because it wasn't too bad. So
that's nice.
Next, it was the safari, right? Oh, wait, no. Oh, my gosh. I skipped ahead in my notes. No, it was Everest after that, because after we got wet on Kelly River Rapids, we had to go dry off by getting blown around on Everest. So it was 30 minutes, posted wait time for that. And the queue was very long. Like, it was all the way back to the Nemo show building. Which seems very far, especially when, like, you've walked past the coaster, past everything, and, like, you've gotten down in the line. But we got in the line at 11:55, right? And then we were boarding it at 12:12. So it was really only, like, less than 20 minutes for it. So, like, I want to warn everybody, if you see it all the way back there, it's really not that bad. So we boarded it. We were in row 12, which isn't quite the back, but kind of close to. Oh, that was the back cart?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that's right, because it's 12, 13, 14. So it was in the back cart, but not the very end. And we had a great ride. That ride was always fun, except for Emma got all mad at me when we got off because I took too long with my bag.
We should do too long with her bag so we could get our ride pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was trying to get my bag all situated and figure, because you have to take it off your back, obviously. Right. And trying to fix it and get my phone back out and get my sunglasses. And by the time we got to the area where it has all of our photos to scan, our picture was gone. So she was like, dang it, Mom. So
Those go away. They go away too fast.
I know they do. Well, in some rides, they automatically download.
Right.
So I always forget like which ones I have to actually scan for now.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, Emma was getting a little bit hot. I had that in the notes that we were getting a little bit hot, and she asked for a cold treat. So after we got off of the ride, we just got 2 Mickey ice cream sandwiches from the place right next to the queue for Cali River. And we found a shady spot, and it was nice because as we were eating our ice cream, we saw one of the riverboat cavalcades come by with Mickey and Minnie, as well as Rafiki and Timon came by at one point. So that was fun. Like as we were sitting there and got to see some characters.
Those are cute.
Yeah. So at that point, we were cooled off a bit, and I think our plan was just to go ride the safari and then maybe head back to the hotel after that. So we headed over to the safari. It was posted that it was 35 minutes wait. We got in line at 12:44, and then we boarded at 1:04. So it was about, 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's 20 minutes. Math is not my strong suit. So they were boarding every single row on the safari, except for they still have the plastic kind of sheeting in between each. It's not like plexiglass. It's more, movable and flexible. And Emma and I, we were front row, which was good for Emma in her eyes because she's waiting on her new prescription for her glasses. So she could see all the like animals, things, and descriptions closer. But we had a fantastic safari. It was great. Like I'd seen things I never saw. I saw a hippo out of the water.
Oh, nice.
Like he was up and walking around.
Mm-hmm.
We saw
2 black rhinoceroses standing next to each other.
Aww.
Right, which she said that with the black rhinos, they're never normally that close to each other. But because of violence, yeah. She said, but it was coming near mating season, so they're getting to know each other.
That's so cool.
That was really neat. And they were standing up. Like normally I just kind of see them laying around everywhere. And then, what else? We saw the end of a crocodile hopping out of the water.
Oh, wow.
Which was neat because, like, normally they're just all laying there doing nothing.
Right.
So it was kind of neat to see them jump out of the water. We saw, what was it, the 3-year-old or 2-year-old baby giraffe?
2-year-old baby giraffe, yeah.
So he was really cute. And then we saw a little baby mandrill, which is like the Rafiki monkeys.
Oh, yeah. That's fun.
Baby mandrill was hanging from its mama's tummy. And then, let's see, 4 elephants and 3 white rhinos we got to see. And the other one, like we saw the cheetahs and the...
The tour guide said that we saw almost every animal, or maybe even every animal that was there to see, and that we got extremely lucky because we saw the lions,
right.
We saw the warthogs, which those are hard to see.
Yeah, they're hairy rocks. The warthogs are like hairy rocks. The lion, of course, one of these days I will see that lion like standing up or with his head up or something. One of these days. Emma's patting me like, it's okay, mother. Eventually
it'll be okay.
So yeah, that was fantastic. And then we decided we were hungry, and Emma thought she'd be adventurous and try the Satuli Canteen, which is my favorite place to eat at. It's back in Pandora. But she didn't want to try the noodle bowls, which was surprising because she loves,
I tried them at yours though, and that was that.
Yeah. I think it was the green onion sauce that you didn't like. But so basically after we got off the safari, I got on the app and I placed our mobile order. And after the safari, we got off and we walked through all the gorilla trails there. And we saw the 2 little brother monkeys wrestling around and fighting each other and everything. Like it was so the cast member there said that's all they do all day. These 2, if they're near each other, they're fighting with each other and wrestling around. So it was really kind of neat to see. So we walked through that and then made our way over to Pandora. Again, that pathway from, over by Lion King, the back way to get into Pandora was still closed. So I was a little frustrated that we had to walk all the way around. But we shopped through some shops on the way and kept cool. And Emma ordered did I write down the technical? The cheeseburger bao buns. Which are they look like these steamed buns, and it's got cheeseburger stuff on the inside, and then vegetable chips, I think they were sweet potato chips. And then I got the chicken bowl with the lo mein noodles, and I get it with the green onion sauce on it, which is why I think Emma did not like it. So we placed the mobile order at 1:30, and put it to be picked up between 2:10 and 2:40 because we knew we were going to walk through all those trails. And when basically by the time we were done with the trails and walking back towards Pandora, it was about 2:10. So as we got closer to the restaurant, I just clicked, "Hey, we're here." And then by the time we actually got to the restaurant, we waited like a minute or two, and then it said, "Your order's ready." And so we went in and got an order, and then they had Mr. Pibb at the restaurant, which is as close as you can get to Dr. Pepper. So I was very, very excited. So that was really, really nice. But the food was good, and Emma liked the bao buns. I was actually pretty impressed that you tried them because they look so different. But she's my adventurous eater. She eats sushi and not just rolls. Like, she eats the sashimi and the really raw stuff. So, but she said it was.
And I knew what bao buns were. Like, I knew.
Right.
How they were made and stuff like that. So.
But you weren't impressed with the vegetable chips. No, she did not care for those. And I didn't even try them because I had gotten too full on my noodle bowl. So, and what's really nice about the noodle bowls too, and about that place, is you can get it with chicken, steak, or shrimp. And then if you don't want to do noodles, you can get it with like sweet potato for a little bit healthier version of it. So it's just neat. I'm not an adventurous eater, so it actually took me a few years to work up the courage to try that place. And now it's one of my favorite places to eat. So
I know, it sounds so good.
And then now earlier when we were doing the safari, we had thought about just going back to the hotel, but I guess having dinner and a little bit of a rest kind of powered Emma up. And because I love my child, I agreed to then walk clear across the park from Avatar over to ride Everest again because she loves that ride. And so the posted wait time was 35 minutes, and I love in my notes, I could tell I really didn't want to walk because I was like, after our hike from Pandora over to Ava, we got in the queue at 2:53. We got in the queue at 2:53. We were boarding our ride at 3:09. Now we did have a little unfortunate incident on the ride, which is, now mind you, we didn't get our ride photo from our first ride on Everest because Mom took too long with her bag. So we were excited to get the ride photo on this one. Well, the lady in front of us took off her mask on the ride.
Oh, man.
And if you take off the mask on the ride, you then do not get the ride photo. So that was unfortunate. And as we were pulling up, like, I kind of wanted to say something to her, but not be rude. And so I was like, "Hey, excuse me, just so you know, like, because you took your mask off, you're not going to be able to get your ride photo for the ride." And she's like, "Oh yeah, on the last time I rode, my mask almost flew off. And so I just took it off. And it's okay. I don't want my ride photo." And I was like, "Well, you might not want your ride photo, but other people sitting in the same car as you might have wanted the ride photo." And at that point, she then realized, like, "Oh my gosh, you're right." Like, she didn't even think of that.
Right.
Like, it hadn't, like...
And a lot of people I think don't realize that the entire car is one photo.
Right. So she didn't realize it, and she felt bad. And, she was like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry. It's just my mask almost flew off." And course, Emma tells me later, she's like, yeah, my mask almost flew off too, but I just held it on with my hands, like, because I'm going to pay attention. But then when we went over to at least look at the photo to see it, and I was going to try to do the cheesy, like, take a picture with my camera, version of it. And as we were looking at it, there was a cast member standing there, and he was like, oh, hey, you're not going to get your ride photo because that person doesn't have their mask on. And I was like, I know, we told her about it after, and she was, whatever. And he was like, oh, do you really want your ride photo? And I was like, well, yeah, we really were hoping for it. And so he's like, come on, follow me. And so I figured, like, he was taking us over to an area that maybe they could, like, force load it onto my phone somehow. Instead, he took us to the back entrance for Everest and put us on the ride for the third time. Like, he just
that's cool.
Put us right on.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny because we're in line for it, and there was this couple standing in the line in front of us to get in the seat in front of us. And I was like, this may sound weird, but y'all are planning to keep your mask on for the ride, right? Like, and we told them what happened. They were like, oh yeah, we are, like, we know. And so it was nice. But
other people behind us were kids and also wanted their ride photo.
Right. So they all obeyed the rules and kept their masks on. But
that's nice, because that is frustrating. And I mean, I would wonder, most people probably don't even think about the people around them if they take their mask off.
Right. Or they're not thinking of the pictures, or, like, they don't care about the pictures, or they might not even realize, like, oh, they don't realize that's the policy. Like, if the mask is off, then they won't get the pictures. But yeah, so it was nice. And I also have a note on there that my t-shirt was a big hit. Like, several ladies complimented me on my t-shirt because it was, it said Hakuna Moscato instead of Hakuna Matata. It said Hakuna Moscato, so I got a few, like, oh, I love your shirts. Like,
that's cute.
That's my thing. My friend made me it. So
that's super cute.
Yeah. So then at that point, since she had made me hoof all across the park, and we got to ride everything we wanted to ride and do Everest 3 times instead of just 1 time, we decided to, and it was warm, so we decided to head back to the hotel and try to go for a swim. We got in line for the bus at 3:45, and we had to wait just a little bit, not too long. Like, I remember sitting down in the line, but I kind of did that because I was like, oh, if I sit down, that'll make the bus come faster, because now I'm gonna have to attempt to get up. But yeah, I think we got on the first bus. Yeah. I thought we got on the. Oh yes, I thought we were gonna get on the second bus because there was an ECV in front of us and everything. But I was wrong, and we got on the first bus that came. So that was fantastic. We pulled into Pop at like 4:07, and we headed down to the pool at about 5 o'clock. But it was cold. The pool was a little chilly. Like, clearly I don't know if they hadn't turned on the pool heaters, or maybe they had, but it had been chilly the week before we were there. So I just think it was a little chilly. I was able to stand it for a little bit longer. Emma made it up to her stomach and was like, nope, I'm out. So she went and sat out and relaxed. And then we just stayed out there for a little bit, and then we placed a mobile order for food. I went and got that, and I checked out, the gift shop while I was down there waiting. And we were I was back in the room by about 7.
Yeah.
I got the chicken parm. The chicken parm there is one of my favorite things to get. Emma got the cheeseburger, the bacon cheeseburger, which she loves. And I have also learned that when you have a bacon cheeseburger, you do not get it with any mayonnaise, mustard, or ketchup or anything, because that's an insult to the flavor of the bacon. And I just want to leave it alone.
Yeah.
So, whatever. That's what, yes. That,
don't want to upset the bacon.
By my team. And then, after dinner, we went outside, and right outside of our room was this bench that, like I said, it overlooked Hourglass Lake, and we just sat out there. It was so nice. Like, I don't know. I remember as a kid, in the summertime, for some reason, like my mom would always get us showered or bathed or whatever. And then it was a real special treat if we got to go outside after we had our shower or bath and like sit and, I don't know, play red light, green light or whatever. But so we had done that. We had gotten back to the room and we had showered and gotten all cleaned up, and just sitting outside and watching the sunset over Art of Animation and just watching the people walk by. Like, it was real nice. Emma came out and sat with me for a little bit, but then she was like, Mom, I'm going to go back to my phone and read in the room. but it was gorgeous out. It was 78 degrees, and I have in my notes that it was 53% humidity, but it didn't feel like hardly anything at all. So
yeah, it's so pretty over there too.
Nice.
Like that lake, and just kind of quiet, especially when you've been at the park and it's so loud and busy.
Right. Like it was so quiet back where we were. And occasionally, like, I could see people that were just coming back from a park, and, I could tell, oh, they're coming from Hollywood Studios because they got their lightsabers or their droids, or some people were actually leaving to go to the park, to go have some drinks at Epcot or something. So it was really kind of neat back there, and quiet. And I think I took way too many pictures of the sunset, because as it kept on changing, I'm like, oh, that's even prettier. That's even prettier. So after I finally gave up that, I think I went back to the room shortly after that, maybe 7:30 or so. And we were in bed by about 8:15, 8:20ish, like all ready for the next day. Like, we had our outfits out for the next day. And each day when I would get back from a park, I always empty my park bag and then repack it for the next day, so it's all ready for the morning. Our plan for the next day was to get up at 6:30 so I could do the boarding group and, get in line for the Skyliner and eat breakfast and everything. So yeah, I think we were probably asleep by 8:30, 9 o'clock.
That sounds nice. So what was, since you've been to Disney so many times, did you like the mobile ordering at the restaurants and at the resort better than just going up there and having to order at the restaurants?
So I will admit, my first couple of times going back after the parks reopened and getting used to the mobile ordering, it was a little bit frustrating, just because, it'd be like, oh, I'm hungry, I need something to eat. And, especially in July, because there wasn't as much open and there were hardly any of the little kiosks and everything around. So that was a little bit frustrating. I guess you could say there was a learning curve with it. But now that I've gotten used to it, and I can also better advise my clients as well when they're going, like, I let them know, like, okay, if you're in line for a ride and like, hey, after this, it'll probably be time for us to grab a bite to eat. While you're in that line, go and find where you want to eat and place that mobile order, because you select the time that you're going to eat at. So like that's what we did when we were on the safari, or after we got off the safari. It was like, okay, it was 1:30 now. We knew we wanted to walk through the gorilla path. So, but that we want to eat after. So we just went up, found the menu for what we wanted, and we picked that 2:10 to 2:40 time frame. So you don't have to be there right at 2:10. It just means like in between 2:10 and 2:40 is likely when you're going to show up to get your meal. And you can always change that to further back. So, we placed that order, and then, like I said, as we walked and got closer to it, you go back on the app and say, okay, I'm here. You can start preparing my food now. And you definitely don't want to do it when you're too far away, because there was one time I was at Pop Century and I did it, and I said I was here while I was in my room. And like literally as I was walking out the door of my room and down the stairs, it's like, oh, your order's ready. So by the time I walked over there, I had a little bit of soggy lettuce on my sandwich, but it definitely got easier. And like I said, if you do it beforehand, like not like when you're starving hungry. If
Right.
you're starving hungry, it might be easier just to look around for one little kiosk, get a pretzel, get something that you can just easily walk up and grab, because there's definitely more of those open now for sure. So it was much easier that way. But also to make sure you have a credit or debit card linked to your My Disney Experience account, because that will make it easier to do, because you won't have to do payment each time. But you can use Disney gift cards to pay for it if you want. It's just when you have a Disney gift card, you do have to enter in that gift card number each time. So just be ready for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that is a kind of annoying.
Right. And just so people understand too, that when you place a mobile order on your app and you have it linked to a credit or debit card, it's going to charge that card automatically. If you're in the parks and you have like a Magic Band or your Key to the World card or something like that, and you go up to a kiosk and decide just to scan your band for it instead of pulling out your card from your wallet, it will then charge it to your room, which will then be charged onto your card at the end of your stay. So that's just a little difference.
Yeah, that is good to know.
Those. Yeah. But yeah, so now it was our big day, the day everybody is nervous about. So it was Sunday morning, and it was our Hollywood Studios day, which is like, oh my gosh, can I get my boarding group? I know your son, like, I love that you guys were like, we went and found the best spot with the best Wi-Fi, like available, like best connection. Like, I was like, dang, good, those are good clients. Like,
oh yeah, Aiden was like, we have to do this, right? Like, we have to do it. And I was so nervous. I'm like, that doesn't mean we're gonna get to. It's not like the other ones.
Right. Oh my gosh, I loved it. I loved hearing him talk about it. So I get up at 6:30, and all I ever do when I do it is I leave the room, especially at Pop Century, because the buildings are all built with cement cinder blocks and everything. So I didn't want anything interrupting my connection. And our room was a corner room at the end. So all I did was I just left the room, went out onto the walkway kind of towards the end, and leaned out on the railing, basically trying to get as clear access to my phone for all the, virtual rays or Wi-Fi's and everything. I do get off of Disney's Wi-Fi. I don't get on Disney's Wi-Fi when I do it. I have Verizon for my cell service. Some people like to know that, like, do you have Verizon, right. AT&T? What do you have? So we have Verizon, which I've never really had an issue with. A lot of people say they have better luck with AT&T because that's who Disney uses, but I don't know. So I just open the app up at like 6:58, and I just either keep refreshing it, or sometimes I'll log out of it and log back in and refresh it. And then obviously right at 6:59, I start just hit join board group. Okay, can't refresh, join board group. And I just keep doing that. And I don't even hardly pay attention. Like, it's like join board group. And as soon as it actually comes up, I don't look at anything else. I don't look to check and make sure everybody's checked off. I just hit join and boom, go through it. Because if you waste those precious seconds to make sure each family member is checked, then you could miss out on it. Yeah. The system is set up to whoever you're friends with on your My Disney Experience app. It scrolls through and it will automatically select any of your friends on your list that also have a park reservation for Hollywood Studios that day, and it will automatically select them, so you don't have to worry about it. If for some reason anything ever were to happen where it's like you got on there and for some reason only 4 out of the 5 of you were selected, you can then always go to guest services or one of those, guest experience blue umbrellas there and say, hey, help me out, and they'll fix it. Like, they understand that sometimes that can happen.
That's nice.
But yeah, I lucked out. We got boarding group 66. So I was excited about that. And then we finished getting ready, sprayed on our sunscreen, and we were heading to the Skyliner at 7:10. Now, mind you, the park wasn't scheduled to open up until 9, but we're getting in the line. We were in the line at 7:14, and in the notes I put, like, we were pretty much at the blue yo-yo. So for those, like, that ever stay at either Art of Animation or Pop Century, know and understand that the line for the Skyliner loops around through Pop Century. So even if you're coming from Art of Animation, you have to kind of walk over, and the end of the line will be in Pop Century. So we were at the Blue Yo-Yo at about 7:14. We had brought our little cinnamon crumble cake from the night before that we had gotten for dessert. We brought that, and we got the mini Dr. Peppers. And we brought, each of us had a mini Dr. So we had a super healthy breakfast of mini Dr. Peppers and the crumb cake.
It's vacation.
And it's vacation. So it was great. The Skyliner started boarding passengers at 7:30. So we were in line for about 20 minutes before they started boarding passengers at 7:30. We were in our Skyliner, our clear Skyliner, I noted, because I love the clear ones because you can see better. We were in ours at 7:36. We were at Caribbean Beach Resort by 7:40. So for those of you new, when you're taking the Skyliner from Pop Century or Art of Animation, you have to get off at Caribbean Beach Resort and then switch to the Hollywood Studios line or Epcot line, depending on where you're going. So we were off of it at 7:40, and then we were in line for the Hollywood Studios Skyliner right away, 7:41. They weren't running the Hollywood Studios Skyliner yet, but they started running it at 7:45. We boarded the Skyliner at 7:53, so like less than 10 minutes. Right? Yeah. And then as we were flying over, you could see that the parking lot wasn't open yet, and we could actually see like the entrance for where all the cars come in, and they were all stopped. Like they were just all stopped right there. So basically anybody that had seen that long line, like for you guys, like when you guys decided to lift over instead, you know, you had to wait in that line still to get in because it wasn't open yet.
Right.
So we could see that they weren't open yet. So we arrived at Hollywood Studios at 7:58, and we got in the line to get into Hollywood Studios right at 8 a.m. basically. And the line at that point was back by where the buses start to load, like where the directory is for the buses. And so we got in the line wasn't moving. And so Emma was like, oh, I'm going to go use the restroom that's right here. And so, of course, like probably the second she probably got into the bathroom, the line started moving.
Right.
And it was moving quickly too. And so like, I'm going down. And I'm like, oh shoot. Like, and I was texting her and letting her know. And I was like, I can't now, I got to hop out. Cause at that point, like it was going to get into a crowded area that she wouldn't have been able to find me. So I hopped out of the line and started walking back down to the end, and she was cute. She started running. She comes running out of the bathroom like, I'm here. But we got in the line, we got back in the line. And I don't know what time that was, but basically we were through security and waiting to scan into the park at 8:07. So basically they had opened up security at 8 o'clock. So we got through and were scanned through security and then waiting to get into the park at 8:07. So it was nice, you know, chit-chatting with everybody in line and everything. And then the gates opened for the park at 8:20. So at that point, like everybody scans through, and then you basically follow the crowds over to Slinky. Some people go off. It's funny. You can see everybody, like some people are the Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster group. Some are the Star Wars. And then there's the, you know, Slinky Dog. So the gates opened at 8:20, and we were in the queue for Slinky Dog at 8:27. And the ride was already running. Like, I think as we were walking up, we saw the first empty coaster go, and then right after that was the first full coaster that went through.
Those people must have ran.
Right. Yeah, I know. I'm like, well, and there was a gap. There was a bunch of people ahead of us
Oh, yeah,
to
to scan
like
their, yeah.
to scan into the park. Um, but and when we were getting up near the queue, it said the standby was 40 minutes, but they don't post wait times until the park is officially open. So I think that was actually like the leftover wait time from the night before. But let's see, we got in the queue at 8:27. Standby said 40 minutes, and we were boarded by 8:42. So it was like, it was not bad. It was 20 minutes. What did you think of it? It was Emma's first time to ride Slinky.
I thought it was pretty fun. Yeah, it's definitely a more gentle coaster. It's not like a rock and roller coaster or anything like that, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was cute. What was your favorite part? I love the little blips,
I really like the grand finale.
The singing?
No. Oh, no, not the singing. Not the grand finale. I mean the power-up.
Oh, right.
The power-up.
When it stops you and, like, kind of takes you back, and then the power-up. I'm like, because the grand finale is the...
I know.
You got a friend in you.
I know, that's so cute. We loved that ride when we rode it.
Yeah. I do love that. I'm hoping we can get your sister Megan to ride it. I think she'll like it. She's nervous about it. And of course it doesn't help her when we're like, your 4-year-old neighbor loves to ride that ride. She's like, I
put the pressure on.
Right?
It's a very smooth roller coaster though, and it's not too scary.
Right. No. And I love the queue too. Like, I think the queue is so cute.
It is very cute.
And then after that, Toy Story Mania had a posted wait of like 5 minutes, and we both love that ride. Like, we love that ride. And pretty much it was a walk on. Like, you literally just walk on. In my notes I said we got put in the fast pass lane, which made it even faster. Like, at one point, like when they split you, they just split us off into the fast pass area, but we were on it. I'm trying to see. Oh, I didn't keep our scores. Emma had great accuracy. She was really good. I just go for the whole shoot at everything. And
hope you get lucky.
Hope I get something. But yeah, Emma's accuracy was like the highest I'd ever seen.
That's awesome.
Accuracy before. So, then what did we decide? Oh, Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
Yes, we headed over to Rock and Roller Coaster. Posted wait time was about 30 minutes. We got in line at 9:15, and again, this was one where the line looked really long because they still were using the outside queue. And we got in line at 9:15, and we boarded at 9:40. So it was right on. I mean, it was 5 minutes less than posted wait time, but it wasn't that bad. And we waited for the front. So we probably could have ridden a couple minutes earlier, but you got to wait for the front on Rock and Roller Coaster. That's the best. And Emma swears she loves that ride.
I do. I enjoy Rock and Roller Coaster. I'm terrified by the photos though.
Yes, like she looks like bug-eyed, white-faced, like sheer terror in the ride photo every time, but she loves that ride, so
it's just because it takes you by surprise. It's just like, I don't know. I love it too, but I always look like I'm dying.
Oh, I'm always laughing because I just start giggling. Like, I'm like, 3, 2, 1. I'm like, Mark and I have tried to do like cool photos for the photo pass, or do funky. I can't because I just start giggling. I just love it. So yeah, that was a real good ride. And then we decided it was time for Starbucks. Yeah. We needed I needed a little more caffeine than that little tiny can of Dr. Pepper. So we got our Starbucks, and then there was no seat. Like, they have little outdoor seating kind of behind the Starbucks and across from Starbucks, but those were all filled up while we were there. So we went to our little secret spot, which is behind the shops across the street, like basically looking at that little pond with Gertie the big dinosaur and everything. And we found a nice shaded bench over there. We were right in front of the frozen Coke stand right over there. And we enjoyed I had a chai tea. which that's my go-to there. It was an iced chai tea, but ask for light ice, so then it's just not all watered down in the Florida heat. And Emma had the
double chocolate chip and cream cappuccino, and then I had an almond croissant, which had almond paste in it. That was surprising, but really good.
Yeah, it looked really good. She did not really allow me a bite of that, so I couldn't tell you how it was. And I had my standard slow roasted ham and Swiss sandwich from Starbucks. Because at Hollywood Studios, there really isn't a ton of breakfast dining options there. Mm-hmm. There is, of course, some of the character breakfast options, but Starbucks is kind of your best bet, unless you want to go over into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and have a fondue egg wrap breakfast sandwich. I kind of figured she wouldn't be up for that. It's not a regular breakfast sandwich. It's an out of this world Galaxy's Edge breakfast sandwich, but
that's right.
That wasn't gonna fly. So after breakfast, we decided to go to my favorite show, which is the Frozen sing-along. I love that show. I just love, I love seeing the dad singing along with the kids, or all the little 2-year-olds in there singing, and I mean the royal historians, they're just hilarious. The adult kind of humor that will go into it. And like I like to tell all my clients, it's cushioned seats and air conditioned 20 minutes. Go and enjoy.
Take advantage.
But it was cute too, because on our way over there, Goofy came out on top of the Hyperion Theater and was like waving to everybody and talking to everybody. Like I hadn't seen that character interaction before. So
that's super cute.
I might have gotten all excited. I got a little video of it. I was like, oh, Goofy, Emma thought I was lame, but yeah. But I was excited. I'd never seen Goofy up there before, so it was exciting. What did you think of the show, though?
I thought it was really fun. Yeah, it's a really funny show.
Yeah.
And it's like normal watching air conditioned and stuff like that. And it's slightly different each time because the comedians just kind of mainly follow a script.
Right. Like they clearly they have a script that they go by, but they also kind of interact with the audience and everything. So it's really kind of fun. And I did take note that at the time they were seating everybody every other row for physical distancing, and they were having one empty seat between each party.
Okay.
So which was less than what they had before. Before they would have like 4 or 5 seats between, but now it was only one seat between. And that was the same for all the shows that we went to. Even like It's Tough to Be a Bug and everything, it had the one seat in between. So that was nice to kind of have that. And that's just nice, regular, like especially when you're hot and in the summer, to not be so close to a sticky, sweaty human body that you don't know. Yes. So I enjoyed that. And the same on the buses too. Like they were still, there was nobody standing on the buses, and everybody had their own section and everything. So you weren't tight in next to somebody.
And I was kind of hoping some things don't go back to normal. Like the forced distancing, at least a little bit, is nice.
Right, exactly. Like we definitely enjoyed that. And then, after Frozen, we had our boarding group 66, and it was called at 12:04. So for those of you to kind of judge. And earlier when I mentioned how rides start going before the park opens, typically, Rise of the Resistance does not. That's the only one that doesn't start running before the park opens, because then that wouldn't be fair to the people that got like boarding group 1, let's say, and they're like, the park doesn't open until 8, but they started boarding group 1 at 7:30. Like it just wouldn't make sense for them. So so we had boarding group 66, and it was called at 12:04. And we were in the queue for it at 12:19.
Okay.
So for those of you that have ridden this attraction before, there's all different areas and everything, but we were in the hologram area at 12:36. I did notice that it didn't have the dots to stand on anymore in that area, and that they were putting more parties in there and just kind of telling us to try to keep with the 3 feet physical distancing between our parties. And then we were in the interrogation room. I don't want to give away stuff.
Right.
By 12:50, and we were off the ride by 12:57. So it wasn't that long.
That's pretty smooth.
Yeah. And now I was very happy that it was up and running, because I think it was either the day before or 2 days before it had been down all day.
Oh my
gosh. Right before we came down, it had been down all day. There was one part of the ride, there was one Kylo part that wasn't running during the attraction. For somebody who's never been on the ride, they might not even notice it. But since I've been on it before, I did notice that part wasn't running. But it definitely didn't ruin the experience. Like, I don't even think you even. No, yeah, she had no. She was like, "Well, I don't know. It was a great ride." Like, but I will warn people though. Like, the cast members are in their role. Like, they are very, serious about their roles on that attraction. And, if you're disobeying or anything, one of them came and was like staring me in the face, and I can't help but laugh, like, cause it's like, like, it's so awkward. Emma didn't care for that, being it was her first time riding it. And so she wasn't knowing what to expect and everything. So she was getting a little bit anxious and everything. So thankfully they didn't mess with her. Like, I think they realized like she didn't want to be messed with, which was nice. Yeah. But they will toy with you, which is fun. Fun for people that something like that is fun for. Not so much for other people, but
it's always fun to see them toy with people too, especially if it's not you. You can just look at them and be like, "What?" Yeah,
exactly. So what did you think of it, without giving away spoilers or anything?
I thought it was really fun. It was really neat storytelling. Right. A very neat ride that told a very creative story. I felt like they did it really well. Yeah.
And you'll go on it again? Yeah. You like it? Yeah. Yeah. She'll probably even enjoy it more the second time, because now she knows what to expect, so she won't be as, nervous about it so much.
For sure.
Yeah. And then after that, Emma was in need of a snack and a little bit of a sit down in the shade. And it was kind of hard, because where she's open to eating stuff, it was hard in Galaxy's Edge, because as you know, it's like on with its theming, especially with its food. So the snacks are kind of weird. Like, we were not going to be doing the blue milk or green milk or anything like that. And she was really kind of in the mood for a pretzel. She wanted a Mickey pretzel. And so we went over to this stand that is basically, it's out at the end of Toy Story Land. And the last time I was at the park, they had Mickey pretzels there. But this time it was nachos and cheese. And so she had gone in to use the restroom while I was ordering. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to be so upset. But thankfully she was like, no, I don't care. Like, just give me something, give me food. She got nachos and cheese, and I got a hot dog. And then this was when I learned that those relaxation stations are no longer around, because previously at the old Star Wars meet and greet area, there was a relaxation station in there, and it was great because it was inside and air conditioned. And I had even asked the guy at the cart I was getting the snack from, I was like, hey, is the Star Wars launch bay area still a relaxation station? And he said yes. So we hooked it over there, expecting to go over there and be in the air conditioning and everything. And when we got over there, the cast member there was like, oh no, there's no more relaxation station. So just please, if you're in the parks, have grace for the cast members. I was not feeling very gracious towards that one cast member at the time, because I was hot, sweaty, and hungry. I didn't take it out on him or anything, but I was cranky in the moment. But to understand, like, okay, sometimes all the memos don't get out to everybody. But we found a nice shady spot and sat down and ate, and things were better after that, because it was kind of a warmer day, and back in Galaxy's Edge, I feel like it's even a little bit warmer because it's a new area. There's not a lot of trees and shade and everything. So, yeah, it was a little bit hot. But yeah, we enjoyed the shade over there, enjoyed our snack. And then we decided, it was like, we were looking at the map and the wait time, and a lot of the wait times were going up at this point. And I think Toy Story Mania was at about 30 minutes wait, and that was like the lowest wait time there was. Well, I think Tower of Terror had a lower wait time. It did, but Emma was like, I'm not doing that ride this trip, which was fine. So we headed over there. It said it was 30 minutes. We got in the queue at 150, and it was like 25 minutes wait. Like, it was pretty much the right amount. And I did take note because Emma got 49% accuracy.
Nice.
That time around. I was like, hot dang. I mean, I still beat her point wise. Sorry, all of a sudden I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, we checked and saw that Rise of the Resistance was at a 40-minute wait, which I'm like, that wasn't that ride. Must have been Smuggler's Run. Yeah. Like, because Rise doesn't have wait times. But it was at 40 minutes, which was the lowest that we had seen. And even though, as Emma, I'm like, it will probably get shorter throughout the day, but there wasn't really much anything else for us to ride.
Right.
At that time, we decided to just go in and get in the line, and we got in the line at 2:33, and we were pretty much boarding at 3:00. Like, so it was like a 30-minute wait. So the way they had it was, at least for us, the way they boarded it, because there was two parties of two, Emma and I, and two other girls. And so the two other girls got pilots. They left the gunner positions empty, and then we were the engineers. So I'm assuming, though, if you're a party of 5 or 6, they'll seat you in all the seats, right? Or whatnot. Or maybe if you were a party of 4, they would seat you in pilot and gunner, and then nobody else would be in it. But how they had it at that time was the 2 girls were the pilots, and we were the engineers. Which was really fun. I hadn't been an engineer in a while. I had been pilot. Emma had fun though. She loved hitting all the buttons. I was like, Emma, you don't have to just stare at the colored lights though. You can look out the front and see where we're going. So she eventually started doing that, but that was fun.
That's fun.
What did you like better, Rise of the Resistance or Smuggler's Run?
I'm not really checking their sentence of how different kinds of rides they were.
Right. Like, you can't really compare the two.
Because they're not the same kind of ride.
Right.
One's a storytelling ride, one is an interactive ride.
Right. So both excellent attractions.
They are fun.
We didn't explore around Galaxy's Edge too much because it was hot and there was a lot of people in there. And it was too hot to wait to go through those shops and everything. At least too hot for us. Like, it wasn't something that was on our must do. Yeah. And at this point, I can't remember. Emma didn't know about our trip later this summer. At this point, none of the kids did. But at some point during the trip, I did tell her, like, hey, just so you know, we are actually coming back in July. So if there's something, we need to miss, we're going to be coming back in July. So,
that's so nice.
At that point it was like, okay, like it took that need to make sure we did everything off of there. And then after that, it was Muppet time. Cause again, like all the wait times were kind of high. And at this point we had pretty much done everything we had come for. Like this day we just wanted to do Rock and Roller Coaster, Rise of the Resistance, and the Frozen sing-along. My things. So we decided to cool down and go watch the Muppets, which we just love it. Like, and it was posted wait time was 15 minutes, but that was just the time it took for the show to go through. We got in, went right into the pre-show, and then just enjoyed the Muppets. It's cute. It's,
I know.
It's just cute and stuff.
I wanted to do the Muppets. I've done it before, but my daughter's terrified of Muppets. So even when we walked by, she was like, I am not doing that.
Yeah. So yeah, she would not like that then, because then they'd be like all 3D and in her face. Like, she would be scarred for life.
I don't know why she thinks they're scary, but she just, puppets in general, she's just, no.
Right.
It's funny.
I don't blame her. Some of them can be scary. So after that, I think Star Tours wasn't too bad of a wait. So it said it was 25 minutes. We got in line at 3:52 and we were boarding at 4:09. So it was pretty good. Mm-hmm. They were seating every other row, again, with one seat in between. Mm-hmm. Our ride got delayed though, because the gentleman in the very back row wouldn't put his mask on in the ride. Like he had his mask on, and got in the ride. And then when the cast member shut the door, I'm assuming he probably took his mask down because he's figuring like, oh, we're in the ride, I can take the mask down. But what he's not realizing is there's cameras in there. And so like she came on the thing and she's like, we can't start the ride until everybody's got their masks on. Like, she came on a couple of times and said that,
calling him out, like, man in the back.
Yeah, to the gentleman in the back row, and even then he still didn't put it on.
That's crazy.
I don't know if there was I didn't know if there was a language barrier thing. I don't think there was. No. And then finally, like, she literally reopened the doors and came in and was like, you have to put your mask on or we can't, like,
or like
and
leave.
Thankfully he did, like, like I was waiting for, park security to come and have to like escort him off. So it was very interesting.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so finally it did get up and running and, everybody was able to ride. And so we were off the ride at like 4:20. So normally it's not a 10-minute long ride on there, but it was good. I think it was actually a scenario I hadn't done.
Oh, that's cool.
It's neat when you ride that because they have all these different scenarios that they put in. So it was one that I hadn't done before. So I really enjoyed it. Then we decided to try for Mickey's Runaway Railway because Emma hadn't done it before. I had done it once before. And I went and got in the line and Emma sat in the shade because most of that extended queue is like out in front of the Chinese theater. Mm-hmm. So it can be really hot and it was like 5:00-ish. So it was hot, but the line moved actually pretty quickly. We got in the queue at 4:36 and we were on it at 5:00. So
that's not bad.
It was just under the 30 minutes, but it was cute. What did you think?
I thought it was really fun. Yeah, it's kind of almost similar to like the Three Caballeros.
Oh, the Three Caballeros, yeah.
And like in the feeling of it, you're on an adventure with the characters.
Right.
But it's one of those like trackless rides.
Yeah.
So it was really fun.
Yeah. So it was really neat and cute. I definitely enjoyed it a little bit more this time riding it because I only waited like 30 minutes for it than my first time riding it when I waited like an hour and 10 minutes because it was literally like it was the first day Hollywood Studios had reopened since the pandemic, and so I was like, I can't believe I waited an hour and 10 minutes for
Yes.
So, but it was really cute. I tell people like if it's under a 30-minute wait, get in line for it. More than that, like unless it's something you've been dying to do, sure, fine. But it was cute. So at this point now we were getting hungry and we did run into a little bit of a hiccup at Hollywood Studios for eating wise. And then I got a little frustrated because I saw there was walk-up availability for 50s prime time. And so I was like, oh, we love 50s prime time. Like, let's join that waiting area. And when I went to make the reservation for 2, it wouldn't accept it. Because it had to be a party of 4 or 5 or more.
That's
I got a little frustrated because, at this point, it's a little hot, I'm a little hangry, So I went up and I just wanted an explanation as to why. And the cast member told me, he's like, well, we actually only have like two top tables in here. And when that reservation that came available, it's for a table that seats 6. And they're not going to sit a party of 2 at a table of 6 when they could get a party of 5 or 6.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I understand. It's still a little frustrating when I'm trying to feed my kid. Yeah. But whatever. So, but we did find a walk-up reservation available for Mama Melrose. It still had about a 45-minute wait, and you can see, you'll open up the app and just click on it for dining, and it'll show you all the quick service places. It'll show you all the areas. And then if you see a wait time on it, that means that's a restaurant that has walk-up availability. Mm-hmm. So you can click on it and join that walk-up. It's basically like a virtual queue. So you're not having to sit around the restaurant waiting for your name to be called.
Okay, yeah.
You just join it and then go over there at that time. So we did that for Mama Melrose. And I think we went and rode Star Tours again. Yeah, we went and rode Star Tours again. And didn't get stalled out this time. Everybody wore their masks for this ride. And I think our second ride was better than the first, wasn't it? Didn't we have
We had the first ride, we had a Kylo Ren situation, and the second ride we had Darth Vader.
Right.
And we got the Wookiee planet.
Yes.
As our adventure place.
Yes.
Which is one of the more uncommon ones.
Right. So that was kind of fun. That was
fun.
I remember a little girl who was named the Resistance Trader was acting out her part.
Yeah.
During the show, during the ride. So they would say, "Give us the trainer," and she was like, "No."
Yeah, she was really cute. She was in the front row with us, I think, so we could actually see her. She felt like she was really part of it. She's like, "They're not gonna get me." She was like, "No way." So it was really cute. It was cute to see.
That's cute.
And then we got off that and we took a break in the shade for a little bit and had some water. And then we just headed towards Mama Melrose, headed back there. And we were called, they said it was available about 2 minutes before our actual wait time.
Oh, nice.
Which was nice. So we went in there. And it was funny, I asked if they had, Dr. Pepper or Mr. Pibb or anything like that. And she's like, "No, but I can get you, a Coke with grenadine in it." And so I was like, all right, let me try that. That's not a good fix. Just so y'all know, Coke with grenadine is nothing like Dr. Pepper.
Good to know.
So that was a little disappointing. She had the campanelli with shrimp. And she had them remove the sun-dried tomatoes because she wasn't about the sun-dried tomatoes. I had the chicken parmesan because chicken parm is my absolute favorite meal. So I had that. And it was really good. I enjoyed it was huge. I was really kind of bummed that, I wasn't going to bring it back because I knew I wasn't going to eat it in the room or anything. But it was 2 big pieces of chicken and pasta, and the sauce was really delicious. What did you think of yours?
I really liked mine as well. It was really good.
It was really filling, though, because I remember you...
Yeah, I ate all the shrimp out of it. I made sure to eat all the shrimp out of it, but I didn't get a lot of pasta down because of how filling it was.
Yeah. But she's like, "I'm a good girl, Mom. I ate all the expensive parts."
That's true.
Yellow shrimp. And then I noted this because I thought it was ridiculous. We both ordered sodas, and when I got the bill, our sodas were $4.29, and I was just like,
"That's crazy.
That's ridiculous." I get Disney pricing and things like that, but I was like, $4.29 for a glass, So I was like, I'll tell anybody, just get one glass of soda and get refills on it or something.
Yeah.
Because that was just, I just thought that was a little spendy for
so high
glass of soda.
Yes.
Yeah. But it was delicious. And then after that, we were full and tired, and there were some things that were lower wait times and everything, but we had done everything that we wanted to do. So we decided it was time to head out. But we did go and pick up this t-shirt that I saw that I loved. And I have learned when you're at Disney and if you see something that you love, like, don't wait, like, get it then and don't try to see if it's at another park or anything. And I'm glad that I did, because I didn't see it again in another park at all during the trip, even at Magic Kingdom, which I thought was weird because the shirt is like what you would think it would be a Magic Kingdom shirt, because like it's the castle and it'll say, I'll never be too old for this or something like that. So we went and grabbed that, and then I took some notes on this because it was about 7:28 when it was about 7 o'clock when we headed out there. So the park's closing shortly. And we got in line for the Skyliner, and because the Skyliner line was back to those buses again. So like it looked like it was really long. We got in line for it at 7:28, and then we were loaded onto our Skyliner at 7:38. So really it was only 10 minutes that we were waiting for it. It's just sometimes those lines, they look so long, but you don't realize how fast the Skyliner actually goes and how quickly they can get loaded. Now, at the time when we were there, they were only boarding one party per Skyliner. I recently heard shortly after getting home that they're loading multiple parties, but you can ask to be seated by yourself. Like you don't have to, you just might have to wait for the next one. But yeah, so we were at Caribbean Beach Resort at like 7:38. And one thing we noted, the Skyliner lady was not talking during our ride that time, which we were like, was actually kind of nice, because I swear every time like I'm trying to do a video or something, she's like, you are now gliding over the waters of Hourglass Lake, you know? So that was nice. But yeah, we were back at Pop Century by 7:45. So it took 15 minutes to get from when we got in line for the Skyliner at Hollywood Studios to get back to our resort, which was
not
fantastic.
bad at all. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, you know, we did the same thing we do every night. We got back to the room, unpacked, repacked our bags, got all the things needed charging, and got our outfits out. Emma was asleep by 9. She was like zonked out. And then I had a little bit of work to do. I swear I get the most quote requests when I'm on vacation. So I kind of got a little jump start on that. So I was working and doing some quote requests. And then I hit the hay at about 10 o'clock, I think it was. So it was good. Our next day's plane was Epcot, so we knew we'd get to sleep in a little bit, because Epcot didn't open till 11. But at this point in the trip, we were ready for sleep. Like, we were ready for a little bit of a sleep-in day. We were tired. Our feet were hurting. But it had been good so far. And my feet weren't as bad as they have been previous trips, I don't think. And
probably because you go more often.
Well, yeah, there's that too. I do go often, so I'm used to it. And we did keep track. Like, I think on our Hollywood Studios day, we did like 20,000 steps or 22,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we did 8 miles.
Yeah, we did 8 miles on our Hollywood Studios day. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Why we were able to get all those snacks. So
yeah. So that's part 1 of Becky and Emma's trip. Join us next Tuesday for the second half of their trip. And a little bonus for you, I did a Q&A with Becky, and she gives some great advice on when to visit the parks and where to stay. You won't want to miss it. If you would like more information on how Trolley Lane Travel can help you plan your next Disney vacation, please visit trolleylanetravel.com. If you plan a trip with Trolley Lane Travel and would like to be featured on the show, let your agent know. This is how we get our guests. And of course, this show would not be successful without your vacation stories. And finally, please help support the podcast by rating and reviewing it on Apple Podcasts. This is the best way for people to become familiar with the show. Visit us on Instagram at Disney Travel Tales to see pictures of our guests on their vacations. Thank you so much for listening. This is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams become a reality.